again, remember, the entire civilization is built on keeping the black man and the black woman apart. When I first came out doing the Black Man's Guide back in 1990, people was fighting with me. They was having protests. It was like that thing you saw on there with Kavanaugh. People be outside pushing and shoving and getting the student. It was awful, okay? These are black women, that's what I'm saying. Everywhere I went, it was going on. And they was having town hall meetings about me, the whole thing. They had T-shirts, right, all that stuff. And the band shirts out all there. I got one, I saved. But at any rate, this went on for about 6 months. And then it took a curve. The women and the men started listening to me. The women and the men start coming to the meetings together and talking and trying to get things worked out. That's when they took me off television. Because the enemy is not going to let nobody put the black man and the black woman back together under no circumstance.
I think you need to hear those things because even though we're not together, I know I assume your spaces are not as safe as what we were allowed to create in our relationship. So I think you needed those words of affirmation. You needed a reminder.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Venezuela, by the way, has the lowest murder rate ever right now. What does that tell you?
Yeah, all the murderers are gone.
We're here.
Yeah. So is it true that they're emptying prisons? I mean, is this Cuba all over again?
This is not a hearsay. There was a memo by DHS last year admitting that, in fact, they knew that Venezuela's government was emptying their prison and rehabilitation centers or drug centers, releasing them on purpose because they knew with instructions to make, if you were going to get out, you're going to make your way to the U.S. That is not, we're not making that up. That's true. It was reported on, and DHS admitted that was happening. And in fact, it has. El Tren de Aragua is heavily present in our country now.
Okay, so you're telling me that DHS has acknowledged that Venezuela, for example, is emptying their prisons and their rehabilitation centers with the understanding you get out if you leave here and go to the United States.
Yes.
And DHS has in writing said, we know that's happening. We know they're coming here. We're processing them in and have no idea where they are.
Correct.
How many people are we talking about?
Millions. And just Venezuela alone.
We're talking about in the last 2 or 3 years, we've had estimated how many people have come across the border.
My estimation, the official number, I think, is about 10 million.
Yeah, it's about 10, 11 million.
Yeah,
that's the official.
But my personal opinion, I think we're about 15 to 18 million.
Men get married and become a father and go, oh, shoot, okay, I didn't know it was going to take all of this. Game time. Let me try to figure this out. Let me try to see if I can do this and do that and get the car and do this and love her more and balance all this. Women, we meet you and we're like, our idea and our fairy tale is you are Prince Charming, honey. And then we try to get you to fit Prince Charming. And the more you don't fit it, the more y'all end up in my office going, but he doesn't do this. Well, has he ever did it? No, but I always just thought my husband would. Your husband or this man? So are you getting to know who you with? Or are you making this man fit this fairy tale ideology that doesn't even exist anyways? And so women come and lead with fit this, or you have no value. Men come in and go, all right, I'm here and I'm gonna learn how to be the best I can for you. And then women do what? You're taking too long. You're not getting there because you haven't fit the box of the fairy tale. I call it the fairy tale ideology. And I'm not exaggerating, Can. I want to say 100%, but I'm going to go 99.9% of women who come in my office, I'm having to work on breaking their fairy tale ideology of their husband. And hold on, let me say this. To his defense, they almost always have an amazing husband. But because his amazingness doesn't fit her idea of amazing, guess what? He ain't shit.
A list of HBCUs named after white people. Valley State, named after Governor Odine Valley, a former Baltimore governor. Morehouse, named after Henry Layman Morehouse, literally a guy from New York, not from Georgia, who donated to the school and they decided to name it after him. Spelman, named after Laura Spelman Rockefeller. Rockefeller is her married name, Spelman was her maiden name, and apparently she's anti-slavery, so they chose her. Howard, named after Otis Oliver Howard, a guy not from the area, from Maine, who was a war general, and they changed the name to his name later. Alcorn State, named after James L. Alcorn. Again, weird because he was a slave owner, but apparently he was the governor of Mississippi at the time. Stillman College, named after Charles A. Stillman. The original name was Tuscaloosa College or Tuscaloosa Institute. What's frustrating was that this was changed later, and Tuscaloosa literally means warrior, black, or black warrior in Choctaw. Named after Bishop Westcott Clark. Like I said, white people want to make sure they always leave their stamp somewhere, even if they help a little bit. Bethune Cookman University, actually named after Mary Bethune, but the Cookman part is the white man. Xavier University, named after Francis Xavier. Oh, do I have the right white man? I might mix somebody up in the back. But named after James Dillard. And lastly, I got Jackson State, which was named after the area, but we know the area was named after Andrew Jackson, who was indeed a slave owner. Now, let's not get caught up on symbolism and names, but this is just very important information to know.
Common sense is at an all-time low, and denial is a motherfucker. That's why I'm going to present you with the facts and expect you to do the heavy lifting with your critical thinking. First and foremost, the Mississippi River is the true Nile. In Isaiah 11:15, it says, "And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod." That's what it says. The Nile does not do this. But you know what does? The Mississippi. Second point, the Mississippi still runs through the ancient cities that it ran through in the beginning of time: Thebes, Cairo, and Memphis. You have been made to believe that we named our cities after modern day Egypt, when in fact that is not true. Modern day Egypt named its cities after our cities in ancient America, which is also ancient Egypt. And before this video gets too long, I'm just gonna add in a final point. Did you know that the Americas have more pyramids than the entire planet combined? Yeah. We'll get into the Grand Canyon on the next video.
Lord, 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 nothing I did, nothing I tried, nothing I smoked, nothing I snorted, nothing I drank, no man I did, no one did me, nothing did me any good. Oh Lord, even that the food I put in my mouth wouldn't help me, Lord.
You are traveling with the Hood Mystic. Time to tap in now. You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic. Your favorite mystic's favorite mystic. Your favorite astrologer's favorite astrologer.
Everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
Time to tap in now.
My mind right, money right, yeah. Ready for war, nigga, we ready for y'all.
You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic. You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.
Let me see those hands in the air.
You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.
I project myself outside of myself and I talk to myself when I'm speaking. I project myself outside of myself and I talk to myself when I'm speaking.
Houston, we have a problem. We glitching over here, man. What's going on? What's going on with the family? Thumbs up if you can hear me okay, man. We here for another video, another daily energy reading. I just imagine that y'all be applauding when I do the applause. Even if y'all don't applaud, let's be in the same thought space, create the same thought form of people applauding, hitting ones in the chat, thumbs up, liking the video, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Man, today I'm gonna talk about some goddamn astrology. I am, because today I woke up in a fog and I didn't understand where the fog really came from. Like, I really didn't know what I was going to talk about today at all. And then I just kind of like, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. So usually when I don't know, I feel like there is no show. But that's not always the case. So I sat in front of my computer and, we do just the basic science. Today is Friday. Today is Venus Day. Today is Goddess Day. So I just simply looked at the chart and I seen that where Venus was on the sidereal, Venus was conjunct Lilith in Virgo. I said, that's interesting. And I said, what's the aspects to Venus? And there are no aspects, right? So Venus conjunct Lilith and Virgo have no aspects. And so I sat with it for a little bit and I meditated with it for a little bit and I started doing research and, lo and behold, we got a goddamn show. So this is what I want to call occult conscious dumpster diving. We diving in the Akashic records, junk files. This is the conversations that many people don't have. And you know me, I don't like, I would feel like that would just be so crazy if I just sat in front of y'all and just started talking to y'all about shit. So you know what we gonna do? We gonna show you better than we can tell you. And the first things first, we gonna get to the goddamn chart. But if y'all happy to be here, put a 1 in the chat. If y'all ready to do some deep occult scientific dumpster diving in relation to the divine goddess, go ahead and put a 1s in the chat and let's get into this information. So let me set this thing up right, Shout out to the initiates. Gotta get on that goddamn video. Talk about what's going on in these goddamn streets. Look at some people's charts, because, man, MFers are kicking a bucket out here, man. So I'm just like, I got some solutions today, health-wise, things of that nature, because I don't want y'all to crash out for the sake of you not even drinking teas every day. Y'all not even dealing with the herbs. I'm sitting here. Herbs. One's in the chat if you drinking your tea. Like, what y'all doing, man? Y'all not drinking your tea? Y'all don't got y'all tea. Y'all don't got y'all dry herbs from Columbian Exchange, 10% off. And we got a buy one, get one off capsules. Promo code BOGO. Any capsule you get, Pussy Poppers, Lion's Mane, get another capsule for free. Same thing on White Rabbit. Buy microdose capsule, get the second microdose capsule for free. So you can get a microdose capsule, give one to your baby daddy, because you know that nigga crazy. One's in the chat if your baby daddy crazy as hell, but that's why you like him. Right? That's why you like them. And so this is what we call occult studies, occult information, where we're looking at the chart, right? I'm looking at the chart, and right now I'm just looking at symbols, right? I'm just looking at symbols. And at first, when you're a novice, a beginner into the symbology, that's basically what it is. So if somebody says, all right, Kyrie, or all right, Charmaine, let's read your chart, and somebody give you a chart, Ones in the chat, if it's just lines and symbols and it's kind of hard to understand and overstand, right? On my channel, I just want to keep it real with y'all. What's realer than the sun and the moon? Can we all relate to the sun and the moon? Some of us is married. Some of us is hoes. You know, some of us is black. Some of us is white. Some of us is short. Some of us is tall. Some of us poor. Some of us are rich. But can't we all bear witness to the sun and the moon? So when you think about a YouTube channel and niggas talking about relationships and what's wrong with men and what's wrong with women and politics and Republicans and Democrats, they going for a particular section or segment of the population, and they want to pander to you and make you think that because you on this side, everything is good. But the reality is like, no. The reality is that we are all under the sun and the moon. So in reference to being dark or not fully getting a grasp of yourself and what you should do and like pulling at straws and shit, let's open up our charts and begin to understand the mythology behind these symbols. Because you don't want to be in the dark with this shit when we all can bear witness to the sun and the moon. Does that make sense? Ones in the chat. And I'm on y'all ass with these ones in the chat today, right? You be like, I'm tired of this nigga saying ones in the chat, but I'm tired of y'all just watching and not engaging in the chat. A one in the chat, take 2 seconds. One chat, unless you're driving. If you're driving, just car emoji whenever you stop at the red light. I understand. But ones in the chat, if that makes sense. Twos in the chat if that don't make sense. Because if I'm talking and all of y'all put twos in the chat, I'm going to have to be like, what the fuck you talking about, nigga? This T is going to your head. So let's study and understand astrology outside of the sun and the moon, right? If we can bear witness to the sun and the moon, then we should begin to get into the concept of Venus, the great illuminator, the third brightest star that we see outside of the sun and the moon. Now, Venus in Virgo, very peculiar because we symbolize Venus with feminine energy, feminine qualities. Lilith, we symbolize with feminine energy, feminine qualities. Virgo, we symbolize with feminine energy and feminine qualities. One's in the chat if you catching my drift. The South Node is in reference to past life energy. So if we wanted to have a simple understanding of all 4 symbols put together, it would be the Akashic records, a portal that would be opening up in reference to divine feminine energy. But in reference to the world, it is masculine energy. We are working, we are at war, we are at odds, we are battling. Feminine energy is very caring, very nurturing, and very submissive to what it is that you want at a personal level. So each of these symbols has a rich mythology and a rich history that I feel on this Good Friday, Ashe, that we should begin to do some research, some inner, some under, and some overstandings of it. Because in reference to this time, there will never be a day like this, astrologically speaking. Any day is a significant day. But when we sit and we look at the sidereal chart, and that's why the thumbnail is a astronomical picture of Venus being in Virgo, because some people would say that it's in Libra, right? But if you look at the Star Walk app and say, where is Venus at in the sky in real time, it is in Virgo. And these are interesting concepts that I want to bring to light. So let's first take a stop over at Astromatrix. This is one of the best sites to get into the transits of your chart, right? So if you had Lilith conjunct Venus or Sun trine Mars, and you had no idea what that means, what you could do is get in Google and type in Sun trine Mars Astro Matrix, and that transit will come up and it will allow you to get some information about it outside of not knowing. Because what we're trying to do is get into a space of understanding and overstanding our chart. So with that being said, you have 2 hours to kill sitting with your chart and then having another window with Astro Matrix, and you're just looking up the transits and taking notes, could give you information on your chart versus not having any information on your chart. One's in the chat if that makes sense. Told y'all, I'm on your ass. Pause. Or unpause, depending on, never mind. Let's just continue with this conversation. So Lilith conjunct Venus is dealing with the sacral chakra. When you think about Lilith conjunct Venus under any aspect, is some form of limit, some form of control, some form of, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that because whatever reason, right? But when you think of it unaspected, it's allowing you to address the divine feminine in full power. And the issue with the divine feminine is that women have already entered into divine femininehood, but they don't fully accept it because they may not be married or they may have a sexual history, you know, they may not look a certain type of way. But when you do the science on Lilith, Venus, Virgo, these are all some forms of initiation to divine goddesshood. And the women who have not experienced the negative aspects to life and they only experience the positives because they have the protection or that masculine energy, right? It's all about perspective, okay? Perspective is, oh, I see the negative and the positive. Now I can start the vehicle. What society have created in women is a create polarity centered being. Some women think they're purely emotional, but then there's some women that's running for presidents. Have y'all ever clocked that T? One's in the chat if you clock that T. How can you be emotional and run for president in the same world? Can y'all say that don't make sense? One's in the chat if that don't make sense. If women were emotional, women are emotional. They should not be in politics. They should not be in the workplace. You got a fucking woman supervisor that's on your ass every day. How that makes sense? But let society tell you, let the internet tell you, you are an emotional creature. You need to be protected for. You need to be provided for. You're weak. You have all of these ailments, scoliosis, fibroids, all of these things that's going on. And I would say that would be the ways for which the masculine depolarizes all beings, because men have to be men and women have to be women. And the reality is we have these inner workings and inner understandings that never get fleshed out. So what does that create? That creates a demonic entity that is now running roughshod through the population of melanated beings because they cannot express Lilith and Venus energy. I'm saying that if we live in modern times and people are sexually free, you got to learn how to express sexual freedom without shame. You have to create a conversation in reference to sex is a ritual act. Sex is an ode to God, right? Sex is, because once again, Mercury in Leo, Sun in Leo, the sexual energy is at an all-time high in reference to, can you channel it to do something that's important, or you just going to be playing H-Town, knocking the boots. So Lilith conjunct natal Venus opportunities, experiencing heightened pleasure or healing your relationship, because we understand that sex is a healing energy. But once again, you could do whatever you want to do, right? This is the world that we live in. But it also creates a lot of shadow because people can't stand in that energy of, I can do whatever I want to do. So my thing is understanding how to create a dialogue for your truth, for your authenticity. I mean, in this world, it's redundant to my ears, but every girl rapper is talking about how you got to pay for that pussy. One's in the chat if y'all ever clocked that T, or I'm just making it up. One's in the chat if you done clocked that T, that these girls' pussy costs a fee. The pussy costs a fee if you want to be with me. How much do that pussy cost? Let's have a conversation. You got any discounts? Can I join the email list? Can I join the email list? So we're gonna build. This is how I would read the chart, and that's what I'm doing. I'm giving you the full occult understanding, overstanding of this chart. And if y'all not new to this and y'all true to this, y'all know the next step is understanding the deacon for which the planet falls in. In this case, we're dealing with the second deacon of Virgo. Each deacon is ruled by a minor arcana card. I have it by memory, but it's documents online. All you got to do is type Astro Tarot alignment. I'll give you an example. Astro Tarot chart, something simple like that. Go to images, and any of these this one is probably the best one. I'll open it. Open image in a new tab. It's kind of blurry, but y'all can get the gist. It have every deacon and every card associated with it. And once you catch the rhythm, it's easy to remember because each card is connected to a swords, a cup, a disc, or a wand. And so the wands would be obviously an Aries fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius. All of the swords would be in earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. All of the disc rather would be in the earth. All of the swords would be in the air, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and all of the cups would be in water, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. One's in the chat if that made sense. Two's in the chat if that's still like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. But anyways, to keep the conversation going and keep the algorithm flowing, one's in the chat if you be already knowing. So Venus, Lilith, South Node all reside in this second deacon of Virgo. This second deacon of Virgo is ruled by the 9 of Dis. The 9 of Dis speaks to gain. So naturally, the 8 of Dis is works or prudence. The 9 of Dis is gain, because if you work towards something in real life, the natural result is gain. And if you continue on this path, the 10 of Dis is wealth. So in this picture, and I always refer to the Milo Manara Erotic Tarot deck. That's my favorite deck. Maybe I'm a goddamn freaky boy in the mind, but whatever. Some of y'all is freaks too, but I'm my authentic self. These is my favorite kind of cards to deal with. Anyways, on this picture, it's like a landscape of an Italian village and a woman that is very, very tall, very, very big. And she's standing over a wishing well. If you look closer, because I know all I ever seen was the ass. But then when you look closer, you see a wishing well. So the obvious meaning to this card is be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Right? And another obvious meaning would be a sense of confidence, well-being, and security. This is an image of the over self or the higher self. This is a reality or a point in time where what you want you can get. But you need to be emotionally centered in what you want and not think of it from a negative space. Because when you think of it from a negative space, it's always like, I hope that I can get out of this job, right? And then you lose the job. And it's like your spell worked, but now you don't got no money. So it's like very much keeping the reality centered of being grateful and wanting things that bring more gratitude into your life. This is what we were teaching the kids today in homeschool about gratitude, and they didn't get it. It's like, why am I why am I writing about things that I'm grateful for? And it's like, well, if you're not grateful for nothing, then you're gonna always be in a desire of want. And then you get what you want all the time. You always get what you want. But we are in the waxing moon process, and we're all building up from the new moon and Leo, which is the storm is over now. And even more so with Venus conjunct Lilith in this south node, there is a level of peace. There is a level of, if you looking for money, you've been struggling financially, this is a time that you could balance that financial burden out, right? But once again, being grateful for the magic, being grateful for the ability to be 5-dimensional. Like I said earlier, we have solutions, but at a deeper level, make sure that you're drinking your tea, you're meditating, and for the ladies, you're steaming and you're in that space where your hormones are balanced. Because when you're in the God force energy space, you're very attractive. There's always this meme that I always reflect on when it's like two girls, they're talking, and one girl is like, my friend always says that she doesn't know how to attract a good man. And I'm paraphrasing, but the other friend goes, you attract all types of men. It's the ones that you choose that don't be the right one. So what I'm saying is, in your divine feminine glory, you are very, very magical. But the effort and energy that you take to balance your hormones is the reality of your goddesshoodness. In a masculine centered world, a lot of women equate success with masculine accolades. Within the masculine paradigm, balancing hormones is not something that you ever get a trophy for, you ever get an award for, that they never put a placard on the wall. Shaniqua Jenkins balanced her hormones on September 7th, 2024. That never happens. However, when I say that there is so much work being poured upon us to keep us separated from each other and also separated from our magic, we should be able to understand and understand who we are in this day and time. And it's difficult for the women who've never had anything to overcome, right? Is if you've been protected, you've been a daddy princess, married when you was 18, never seen a cock before, never had trauma before. The concept of goddesshood is difficult, and I'll double down on that. If you feel like you are less than or not applicable to divine femininity because you've experienced negative things in the past, then that all like sex, whether you knew it or not, might have had a positive benefit in reference to the grand scheme of things. Even if it was horrible, even if it led to negative results, your ability to create a testimony, for lack of better words, or to create a ministry is how we grow as a people. If you know that you did negative things, you don't just sit with that and sit on your hands and sit with shame, guilt within yourself. You see it happening in front of you for whatever it's worth. Say, nah, shorty, I don't think you should do that. I've been there, done that. Hey, why don't we go, go to the river and smoke a blunt? Let's talk about astrology or something. Let's look at your chart, right? Let's get your mind off of cock. Because I knew what it was like having my mind on cock. All I got was whatever I got. One level. Second level, there's a spiritual hand over sex in the ritual act of sex. One's in the chat if you ever felt important while you were having sex. You felt like, damn, this sex that I'm having today is really like moving the world forward. One's in the chat if you ever felt like that. One's in the chat if you felt like the sex that you was having was connected to the universe, was connected to the earth, was connected to the stars. You making love and it's a thunderstorm outside. Have you ever felt like that? One's in the chat. Or do you feel isolated and singularized when you're in the ritual act of sex? At least 3 times I've made my girl orgasm and it's connected to the thunder outside, meaning no thunder, regular shit. She busts one and it'd be like thunderstorms happening. And we'd be like, all right, first time, that's just a coincidence. Second time, like, that's kind of weird. Third time, like, yeah, it must be something connected to the orgasm in the planet. Right? So sex is no joke. Right? Sex is no joke. And if you did it, stand on it. If it was good, stand on it. If it was worth it, stand on it. If it wasn't worth it, advise, help, bridge the gap, get into the science. Because usually I'm the type of person that's like, that's bad. But in reference to the astrology, I have to look at it holistically. I have to look at it like a negative charge and a positive charge will start the vehicle. And the deeper that I got into the science, the deeper that I got into the study, the more I said, look, if that's what the reality is, if we all bear witness to it, a certain level of getting over it is going to be needed. One's in the chat if y'all can clock that T. We either going to be ashamed and guilty and blaming each other, calling each other whores and, all this type of shit, or we just going to get over it and see what the fuck we going to do to move over in the future. Affinity, the law of affinity, right? That's a universal law. That's a cosmic law, right? Affinity, relation by marriage, relationship, kinship, neighborhood, vicinity. Relationship by marriage, neighborhood. It means to adjoin, adjacent, akin by marriage, literally bordering on, or a border or a boundary. So affinity is a difficult word, and then I have to look up the definition to get a full understanding of what affinity is. Affinity has multiple definitions, including a natural attraction to something or to someone and a close similarity between two things. What I'm trying to do is a mini exorcism of guilt, shame, and self-defeatist thought. When you made love in your past, one's in the chat if it felt very natural, if it felt like something that you should be doing. One's in the chat if it didn't feel wrong when you was getting it on. One's in the chat if it felt good. See, this is the law of affinity, and it's not the law of karma. Biology, the biology of testosterone and estrogen is beyond your shame and your guilt. Your soul is stronger than your shame and your guilt and your understanding of your actions. This is the law of affinity. At a certain point, people going to tell you what to do, what not to do, and that's fine. But at a certain point, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, right? And it's very important that you are into the proper energy. So I'm going to get into Virgo, Venus, Babylon, and reality, right? It's a way of living in this world that opens us up to the reality that everybody around us is goddesses. And it's a clear way of understanding and overstanding that is through the modality of sacred prostitution. Most people are not going to be ready for this conversation because the masculine society has already demonized your actions. It have already demonized you. You've already surrounded yourself in, well, I like to have sex, but not like that. Or I had sex in the past and it didn't turn out right. Or I love having sex with my husband, but I don't talk about it. I'm really a freak, but it's personal business. And at a certain level, it is personal. And, this is just my video and I'm the one that's talking. But I want you to begin to explore the sexual energy within yourself, not because I'm making it up, right? Virgo, Sexuality in the Sacred Prostitute by Catherine Allman. Meaning that Kyrie Anthony is not making up the subject. One's in the chat if you can clock that T. Where are we getting this conversation from? We're pulling from the cosmos, okay? Venus and Lilith symbolize feminine energy. Virgo symbolizes feminine energy. K2 is basically a black hole, a vagina, right? They say Rahu is the head and K2 is the body, representing our past lives. Our past lives are a conduit the same way as our future lives are a conduit. How do we get to this life? Through a womb, through a vagina. How do we get to our past lives? Through a vagina, okay? So how do you have sex? Through a vagina, okay? So we got to understand this energy at a base level is personal. It's all you, babe. It's all you, boo boo. But at a universal level, this is the science of the goddess. This is the science of reality. And we could look at it like, damn, we should have not been so sexual. A lot of people feel like that. I agree. But at a certain level, let's do the science. Let's do the science on what sex is, right? In reference to sacred prostitution. Because sacred prostitution is everything that we have experienced ever since we was kids. We have been initiated into becoming sacred prostitutes. Because ain't none of you niggas virgins. None of you have conformed to the masculine standards. One's in the motherfucking chat if you can clock that T. You got to be able to clock that T, because if you're not going to clock that T, we're not going to be able to have a conversation. Because you acting like you fucking holier than thou, right? And the reality is that you're not. None of y'all standing on that. None of y'all is preaching on purity, sexual purity. So at a certain point, y'all are sacred prostitutes. It don't make you bad to be a prostitute. It's actually a spiritual thing. We've been initiated into the school because this is Babylon. Every 2 Live crew, every Little Kim, every Nicki Minaj, every movie, every porno we watch was an initiation into sacred prostitution. If you can't clock that T, then go back to watching Pornhub. Stand on that shit. You are a sacred prostitute and you don't know shit about sexuality. Every time you get a boyfriend, hey, do not call me your boyfriend and not give me them motherfucking cheeks. How we boyfriend and girl? The qualifications for boyfriend and girlfriend is sex. Oh, y'all go together? One's in the chat if it's assumed that they having sex. At 16, 17. Y'all not even going to clock that T. You don't think that these high schoolers is not fucking? Your daughter got a boyfriend in high school? Oh, y'all like in denial. And America is Egypt, right? Y'all in denial, and America is goddamn Egypt. So let's get into this. As an astrologer, because we in order to overstand astrology, you need to get into the mythology. Okay. If you don't understand and overstand the mythology, you're not going to understand the symbols of Venus. A motherfucker gonna tell you Venus means love, luxury, this, that, and the third. It don't mean that. It has a whole mythology. You got to get into the science of it to be a real astrologer. So, of course, if we're going to talk about astrology, we got to get into the mythologies. I follow these astrologers. They dick ride you and reference the astrological realities that's happening. You're perfect and Venus is square Mars, right? That ain't going to help you. Really sit back and figure out where the fuck they came up with the concept of Virgo from. Right? When you really like, what is this shit? Leo, what is Leo about? Right? Get into that. Right? So once again, as an astrologer, I've always felt the usual definitions of Virgo sexuality lack something important, although I didn't know what. When I began to research the sacred prostitute, I started to see another aspect of the nature of Virgo. This is the T that y'all need to clock in reference to sex. Sexuality in the service of the divine. When you have sex, you don't know who you was having sex with. I'm going to repeat. When you have sex, you don't know what spirit, what God, what energy possessed that person to even want to have sex with your ass. The more that you understand and overstand the process of sex from a spiritual modality, the more you'll get into sex is actually in the service of the divine, a lot of times they create sexual energy through the mode of testosterone and estrogen and other various concoction of hormones to put you in the mode to want to have sex so they could channel your energy and create a life for themselves through your act of sex. To which a conscious person or a conscious person in a relationship takes it in their own mode to have sex ritualistically, to have sex based upon the supplements and teas and energies that you intake, which have a direct reflection on your sexual energy. I told you I got solutions today. Spirit told me horny goat weed. If you're a man, you got to drink horny goat weed. Just on a regular. It's not going to make you horny. It's not going to turn you into a goat, and it don't get you high like weed. Let's read. Originating in China, where it has been used for centuries in traditional medicine, this herb earned its intriguing name from ancient folklore. Horny goat weed was supposedly the name from a Chinese goat hoarder who noticed the effect in his male goats after eating it. This herb can improve kidney function, treat impotence, involuntary ejaculation, low sperm count, frequent urination, erectile dysfunction, low sexual desire or libido, low sex hormones, and impaired flow to the genitals. Because it is one of the strongest herbs for sexual dysfunction, anti-aging, immunity boosting, and memory enhancing, it has been used in Chinese medicines for centuries. Okay, for the men, horny goat weed. For the women, dung quai. Dung quai. Dung quai. What is that known as? Female ginseng. One's in the chat if you can clock that T. We talking about ancient secrets in reference to getting into your hormones, which is the most important things for you. Not if men and women can get along. Not if, oh my God, I wish that the president would be elected. That's not going to help you. Balancing your hormones is going to help you. So getting back to Virgo, right? This is what we call deep dumpster diving in occult history, occult information. The nature of Virgo, sexuality, and the service of the divine. It appeared to me that the sacred prostitute archetype could shed light on the very nature of Virgo itself, and that this information might help us to better understand Virgo, wherever or however it appears in the chart. The interpretation of even a single planet or angle in Virgo can benefit from consideration of this archetype. So once again, when any planet or angle in Virgo can benefit from this archetype. So what is she saying? She's saying that since Venus and Lilith in the South Node is in Virgo, these planets can benefit from being in Virgo. But we don't understand Virgo deeply because we don't really get into the science or the mythology, or we don't deep dive occult study this shit. It's just more of like surface information, which is cool. But ultimately, how can Venus, how can Lilith, how can the South Node benefit you? Right? It can benefit you by understanding this energy of sacred prostitution, which in this world is right up our alley, right? We are not in a state where people are completely tied in to marriage as a concept. You know, like every time I go outside, I'm seeing ass. One's in the chat if you clock that T. It's the summertime. Girls trying to show how much butt cheek they can show without showing a little bit of coochie. It's like that balance. I'm trying to show ass, but not coochie. One's in the chat if y'all ever clock that T, or two if I'm tripping. Two if I'm tripping, and the girls is not showing butt cheek in the summertime. Because I could be tripping. It's like an ass to coochie ratio. So we in a society where sacred prostitution should be studied, because sacred prostitution is the gateway to money, right? Is the gateway to success. Is the gateway to love. It's the gateway to happiness, because it's a reality, right? And let's get into, right, some concepts. So what we have, and they call America Babylon, right? This is a artifact of a Babylonian temple prostitute, right? And the person that quote unquote discovered it said, let me give y'all some screen love. I suggest she is just not a female figure. She is a prostitute because she is shown cupping her breasts as described on a separate page. This is the universal gesture of a Babylonian prostitute, right? Cupping your breasts. You know how a girl be like, you know, showing you that good stuff, you know, bringing you back home to mama, right? Come home to mama, baby. So what is a sacred prostitute, you might ask? In Babylonia, let's remember, America is Babylon, right? The history is the future. The history, the now, and the future, they operate in the same modality, right? We're in the same time called now. There is no such thing as history. It's just reality. And when you understand reality, you can understand history, you can understand the future, and you can also understand what it is that you want to do, right? So once again, these are deep connections that I'm about to show you, but you got to have your mind open, and then you can understand what you should do from there. But listen, in Babylonia, the temples of Inanna were centers of sacred prostitution. So Inanna, right? We got to look up what Inanna was and what's the connection. So Inanna and Venus, is there a connection? Right? In Inanna's descent to the underworld, Inanna, unlike any other deity, is able to descend into the netherworld and return to the heavens. The planet Venus appears to make a similar descent, settling in the west and then rising again in the east. So it's basic Wikipedia knowledge, right? Inanna is associated with the planet Venus. So once again, we dumpster diving. You know, when you dumpster diving and you looking for food and you come up, like, what you find? I found the hot dog. All right, somebody hold it. So what I find? I said Inanna is connected to Venus. When we look at the chart today, we see Venus conjunct Lilith in Virgo on Venus's day, right? Which would be connected to Inanna, which probably don't mean nothing, but now we got to come back to a sacred prostitute. And the temples of, let's just say, Venus were the centers of sacred prostitution. Venus was a goddess of lust and war. It may be difficult for a modern reader to comprehend, but prostitutes, y'all need to clock this T, were actually employed in her temple to serve the goddess by servicing men. This was a career. It's even stated that prostitutes is the first profession. Before a nigga was an engineer, a doctor, a librarian, women were prostitutes. No guilt, no shame, no judgment, no ridicule, no pointing the finger, no calling you a hoe. No calling you a slut. These are masculine principles put upon you. Do that mean that I want you to go out and get a train ran on you? No, but I want you to get rid. I want to perform a mini exorcism of negative energy in reference to things that you felt were natural. Maybe they didn't feel good afterwards, but that's not going to serve you in reference into understanding your energy. One's in the chat if that makes sense. Presumably, any fees that were collected were used for the maintenance of the temple. So once again, fees in reference to sacred prostitution is the invention of money. The invention of money. This is how governments, religion, society grew as we know it. Women had something that men wanted at a base level. They would go to the temple. In order to have sex, they had to give an offering to the goddess. Y'all not gonna clock the T. Y'all gonna give a nigga pussy for free. Damn, I'm a poet. I ain't even fucking know it. Y'all not gonna even clock the T. Y'all not. Masculine world got niggas all fucked up. So, once again, the past is the future. The now is all one and the same. Every woman born in the country must once in her life go and sit down in the precinct of Venus. Y'all not ready to clock the T. Y'all not ready to clock the T. Like that's the past, hood. We all virgins waiting for our husband. We all virgins waiting for our husband, hood. We would never, ever consort with a stranger that we met at the club on a casual sexual escapade. Never. Hood, I would never have sex with a handsome guy. He was attractive, hood. One's in the chat if y'all not ready to clock that. He was attractive, T. Y'all not ready for it. He was attractive. Like, he looked good, hood. He looked good. You wouldn't dare consort with a stranger, would you? Why you bringing up, oh, shit, I would never do that. That is not me. That's not me no more, hood. He was fine. She ain't never hit you. He was fine as hell, hood. You would never consort with a stranger. This has nothing to do with you. This happened in Babylon. This ain't happening today, y'all. I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking right now. Y'all would never consort with strangers. A woman who has once taken her seat is not allowed to return home till one of the strangers throws a silver coin into her lap and takes her with him beyond the holy ground. The silver coin may be of any size. See, y'all, what's the problem here? Y'all want a goddamn mandingo. See, y'all not ready to do it. Y'all don't want to clock it. Y'all just want to keep it. Y'all want to keep it on the side. Any size, hood? Yep, any size. The woman goes with the first man who throws her money, rejects no one. The woman goes with the first man who throws her money. So y'all mean to tell me Young Miami ain't talking about you got to pay her to get, it don't matter what you look like. It don't matter, your rate. It don't matter as long as you got that money. Y'all don't think that y'all under ritual? Y'all really don't think that y'all under ritual right now? Y'all think it's normal? Y'all don't think that y'all under anti-Babylonian codes and we under the same shit that the niggas in the Bible was going through, and they had to, go through David and Saul and do a bunch of prayers and all of this shit because the Babylonian rule was just so fucked up? and it distorted the people so fucked up that they needed God. Y'all don't think that we in them times? When she has gone with them and so satisfied the goddess, she returns home. And from that time, no gift, however great, will prevail with her. Such of the women who are ugly have to stay a long time before they can fulfill the law. Some have waited 3 or 4 years in the precinct. The story is, of course, ridiculous. It's absurd to think that all the fathers and listen to how crazy this is. It's absurd to think that all of the fathers of Babylonia consented to the prostitution of their beloved daughters. One's in the chat, isn't that absurd to think that all of the fathers and the mothers will raise hoes and niggas that pull a dick out at a moment's notice? It's absurd to think that everybody is out here fucking. It's absurd to think that you'll never find a virgin for as long as you live. Isn't that absurd? To think that all of the fathers and the mothers consented to the prostitution of their beloved daughters. Y'all think that this happened in the past. Y'all think this happened in ancient Babylon. It happened in the Bible, hood. This ain't real. This not really happening in real life. You tweaking. Isn't it absurd? You have your parents ever look at you like they just know you fucking? You got that I've been fucking look on your face, just goofy as hell. They just looking at you like you've been having sex, ain't you? Well, you might as well go to Planned Parenthood and get some condoms. Isn't it absurd? You might as well take it down and get some birth control. Isn't it absurd? Isn't it absurd? Herodotus related this story to emphasize the superiority of the Greeks compared to the decadent Orientals and justify the war between the Greeks and the Babylonians. Guess what? It's still going on. It's still happening. And this is not a fake thing. This is real. It's plenty of archaeological evidence as well. Temple prostitutes. She wearing a bikini, holding her breast in ancient times. I swear to God, I can show you a picture right now of a modern woman cupping her breasts like it ain't shit. But we don't understand ritual. We don't understand we under ritual. It's normal. This is a normal sight. You wouldn't dare call her a temple prostitute. That's how you know you under ritual, because it's just so normal for us. This is Venus on top of Leo, and I'm and another thing, right? I'll talk about it. It's kind of important, but well, since it's right here, we have Venus and we have this lion, right? And like we said, it's nothing new under the sun. We got to look at the strength card, the strength tarot card. Right? This is either Venus or Virgo and Leo, right? We might look at this card to be a woman and a lion. right? A woman and a lion don't really make sense. The only way that this makes sense is if you just look at the video that I'm recording. That's on the background, right? The tarot is talking about astrology too, right? But you got to follow the pathways. You got to follow the codes, because if you don't understand and understand the connection between Virgo and Leo, then you're just going to be looking at a tarot card that's going to be talking about a lion and a girl. It's not about that. It's deeper realities centered into Virgo. That the more that you study us being children of the Most High, we break the spell. You start centering your energy in relation to Virgo. You like, damn, am I a temple prostitute? Am I a sacred prostitute? Not in a negative way, but what does this energy look like for me? As the lady stated, Catherine Oman, the interpretation of even a single planet or an angle in Virgo can benefit from a consideration of this archetype. Once again, you holier than thou, never seen a cock before, never masturbated, suppress your sexual energy. From now you hard up for energy. At what point did you ever deal with your feminine archetype or feminine energy? At what point have you ever deified it? Because the difference between women and men is that if you deify your divine goddess, your life become easier. If you deify your masculine nature, working, surviving, being a hard worker, being quote unquote submissive, you create a negative energy for yourself. And a lot of times you be with a man, he wants you to be submissive, and you acquiesce into his energy, right? Sometimes you just be mad. Sometimes you just want to express yourself. That's what we're talking about in reference to sacred prostitution or sacred prostitute. It is divine sacred rage that you haven't been able to get in touch with because there's so much shame. There's so much guilt. There's so much lack of a conversation in reference to a natural archetype that most of y'all express, because I've never, ever met a fucking 30-year-old virgin, especially a fucking woman that can walk outside and get sex just by winking her goddamn eyes. Some of y'all don't even walk no more because it's too many niggas honking a horn like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, leggings? Y'all get in y'all car and go everywhere y'all gotta go because y'all don't want to be fucking catcalled. You got to protect yourself from sex. So at a certain point, it's a power behind it. But how do you channel it? How do you understand it from a archetypal, historical, cosmic way outside of fucking a nigga that look cute? Right? So this is a deeper symbolism of strength. This lion represents Leo, which represents Kundalini, which represents sexual energy, or raising your energy to its highest heights, has to be cooled down by Virgo, right? The goddess energy. The reason why she's so calm, cool, and collected is because she's been there and done that. She done seen all the different variations of cock there is, and she can easily walk to the lion and say, man, it's just dick. It's more than life than dick. I don't care how fine he is. Calm down, girl. We got shit to do. One's in the chat if you can clock that T. Two's in the chat if I'm just, on bullshit. You see girls that look like this all the time on Instagram. Inanna herself sometimes portrayed as a prostitute. Venus herself was out there slanging that pussy from time to time. So as you can see, this was not a fairy tale. This was going down like popcorn brown in the 1970s. These girls was in Babylon, and it was so crazy that Greeks was like, how could, because the Greek represent the Eastern way of thinking, the Arabian masculine mind, that won't give a woman shit. All she get is an eyelid slit. This is what you get. This how you would walk out the house if you lived anywhere in the East in reference to a Muslim relationship. All you get, y'all can't even see. This is all you get. And the reason why is because they are intentional about suppressing your feminine energy. Do I think that that's bad? No, because these niggas will motherfucking take your girl. These niggas will take your girl in the moment's notice. She looking at him like, damn, he fine. He looking at her like, damn, she fine. Your girl gone. He gotta have to take a real look like, damn, them eyes are sexy as hell. Like he can't really project himself. You know, in the conversation we was having with the initiates the other night, man, men are magical. Men will implant themselves in your third eye, and a week later, you goddamn bent over in his goddamn bedroom. He like, thank you, Shango. Got a whole ritual under the bed. Your ass just don't even understand. So this is what it looked like, masculine energy. Right? In the West, we on IG showing everything. So let's talk about some energies to get us up out of this shit. My main flame, Pomaderas. Right? Pomaderas is a powerful energy. To just get you out of this boundary, to get you out of this feeling of wrongness, this feeling of shame. And what you do from that is up to you. Trying to find this section that, oh yeah, this is the section that I want to read. The multifarious, what does that mean? It's what you got to do when you're studying. Sometimes words, they'll just drop it. The multifarious, like you know it. I went to public school. I don't know what multifarious means. Many and various types. There are many and various types of Pomaderas. That nigga couldn't just say that. He just had to throw that multifarious in there. Like, okay, you know big words. You went to college. Congratulations. The multiple and various Pomaderas is one of the most powerful entities in the Ubanda religion, but I would say on the planet. As a liminal being par excellence, Pomadera is strongly connected to marginality, ambiguity, sacred powers, transformation, and transmutation of matter. The passage from life to death and vice versa, and she may be accompanied by symbols of death, right? In reference to life is death and death is life, but also death to the weakened version of you, death to shame, death to doubt, death to fear, right? If you do not kill these energies linger in your space somewhere, and the reality is that you know it, you feel it, and it's how you emote. It's called a personality. The personality is so strong that you identify with the personality, but the personality is based on the persona. Once again, not making shit up. Persona means mask. So what's the problem with the modern human? Persona, outward or social personality. The person, right? Literally a character representing a voice of the author. literally an acceptable person. Literally mask or character played by an actor. This is what a persona is. But a persona is also a personality. We all got personalities. These personalities are the enduring characteristics and behaviors that comprise a person's unique adjustment to life. So when you factor in guilt, shame, inner doubt, not knowing who you are, the way that you adjust to life is, dare I say, weird, and not in reference to destiny. It's in relation to fate. So your life is just this already written story that you're acting out. But you need to get into the space of understanding that your personality is not you. Your characteristics, not you. Your behavior, not you. You are the soul. You are the spirit. And this is something that we got to understand, especially in reference to the energy of Pomaderas, which is a sacred prostitute. Sacred prostitute because we are told that based upon a masculine disposition of society. Anything reference to power, anything reference to magic is prostitution. So once again, sex related to prostitution is actually a man-made invention to get you into a space of limiting the true expression of ritual and magic. Because prostitution is evil and bad and wrong, nobody taps into it. Nobody gets into the sacred understanding of sex and how it is service to the divine nature within yourself and the divine nature of the whole entire universe. Because if we all was getting divine pussy, there would be peace on earth. If you was getting divine dick the way that you wanted it, you wouldn't even really care. If you was getting it from a divine masculine and it was happening the way you want it to happen and life was moving the way you wanted to move, because the reality is men, women working together sexually, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, this is the transmutation of matter. But if I'm having sex and it ain't really nothing, it's just some shit that I'm doing in the back alley, then the disconnection is in the concept that have been implanted by the physical act, the masculine archetype. That says if a woman has sex out of marriage, she is wrong and evil and bad. Even if you ain't living like that, that's how you carry it. Because you would never say, I'm trying to find me a husband, but I'm having sex with everybody that I want to have sex with. What you try to do is try to force yourself into a box that you may not even be able to fit in based upon a masculine structure. And we can bear witness in everywhere in goddamn Israel, like Muslim countries, we can see the suppression of feminine nature as a whole. Bitch, you walking outside with nothing but your eyeball showing. If you show your damn arm, you know what I'm saying? Like, you getting a lash. So this is a far progression or a far digression from what society have built in ancient times all over the planet. Women have a unique, special power that's found in ritual. Pomaderas' favorite dwelling places are the crossroads and cemeteries. Crossroads is that center point where you and spirit are met. And the crossroads are actually when two people are having sex. This is where the spirit is the most powerful. But once again, is the conversation centered on us doing a magical ritual when we have sex? What is your mindset when you're having sex? How good it feels? Or the fact that you could, through the mode of orgasm, tap into the fabric of existence? Because both of those things are real. Pleasure is real, and the ability for the soul to be awakened through the mode of orgasm. The liminality of this figure is both spatial and temporal. So space and time, as she is often linked to the outskirts and the transition between day and night. She is also connected to the blood and generation, sometimes requiring blood sacrifice. She is linked to possession trances, usually performed by women, during which the mediums speak. Pomaderas is connected to human sexuality and to love magic. And this is why she is a prostitute. That's why even the concept in reference to Venus and Virgo even confers to it being prostitution. The Greeks looked at what the Babylonians were doing, or the Orientals were doing, or the Asiatics were doing, where they had a free and open sex policy, because they had moved beyond the level of shame and guilt, because the original people have been on this planet for millions and billions of years. I'm not using this as an excuse for you to leave your husband or leave your wife, but in reference to your DNA, you have moved far beyond the constructs of masculine man, woman being together forever. In reality, you have moved beyond it because you've already exhibited the characteristics. I'll tell you one better. You ain't never about to get no pussy from a white girl that got a trust fund. You never getting that ass. You never going to, yo broke ass, they never going to say, Jermaine, we going to give you some pussy. Because the reality of the masculine framework that's connected to her survival, she wouldn't even think about it. That didn't ever stop you from getting ass, because the energy is related to us being, or like we was getting, y'all was ones in the chat if you ever play house. Ones in the chat if you ever play house. When was you exposed to sex? I'm not saying it to be a bad thing. I'm not saying it to be a wrong thing, because it already happened. I'm saying that we should be able to get over it, because energetically, we've been on this planet for millions of years. We're already fucking over it. Thousands of years ago, we had temples where motherfuckers was giving us coin to get some ass. We got put under the conflict. Malcolm X said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. We got forced into the construct of masculinity because we got our ass kicked by the colonizers. Because we had devolved so much as a society, because we were so sexually centered that we had no warriors. We had no standing army. We had no military. They just walked up in this bitch and took over, because the energy is the energy. The reality is the reality. Am I saying that sex is bad? No. But I'm saying that's the reality. These niggas walked up in this bitch and took it over. It's white people in every fucking corner of this bitch strategically. When you go to Oregon, you're not about to see no black people. When you go to Washington, you're not about to see no black people. When you go to Montana, you're not about to see no black people. You're not about to see people, period. But it's strategic war. And we as a people, you think that black people is going to unite and create a war to go against the colonizing force? Do you think we're going to mobilize and strategize and take our country back? Or do you think black people is going to find somebody to fucking shack up with and make a baby with? This is the reality. This is what happens. It should be a learning lesson, but we haven't learned the lesson. And more or less, I feel that we are going to devolve and digress into more of the behavior because we still don't have any guardrails. We still don't have any boundaries. We still don't understand the connection between sex and magic, maybe as a form of war, maybe as a form to fight back. So I look at us as a people that is so advanced that we behind, right? Ill-equipped to fight in the world that we actually live in. Up to 15 million Venezuelans are in this country right now. Men, not women, not children. And we too busy trying to get a boyfriend or girlfriend to even pay attention to that. Nothing will wake us up. Nothing will wake us up. So another concept or energy I wanted to talk about was Lilith, because even her energy is tied into this, right? Lilith is a symbol of autonomy, independence, and sexual liberation. This is also a reality. This is something to understand and understand in reference to your rituals. If you ever enter into the dimension of independence, of spiritual strength, and sexual liberation, that is a reality that you could tap into in the form of your rituals. Your rituals are more powerful when you don't have the constructs of only wanting good things. You can tap into your dark feminine bag because you've already experienced this. But when we talk about imagination, it is just that. It is viewed as an evil reflection of the feminine aspect of God. Therefore, many of us will not partake in the imagination and will, put our feet in the water. And then when things don't work out, we try to figure out a solution. No, you big dog pit bull, you can handle it. It was natural. It felt good. Stand on that shit, big dog. What does your ritual look like? You are free to be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Couple final connections that I want to bring to light if I haven't already. Venus is connected to Inanna. So when we talk about sacred prostitution, the reason that we talk about sacred prostitution is because sacred prostitution was involved in the temple priestess of Inanna or Ishtar having ritual sex with male visitors to the temple, right? Again, releasing divine fertile energy, which helps the planet. The energy is not oil that powers the world. It is melanated over sexual energy. The over sexualization of young melanated people is the oil of the universe because it all connects to the world. The more chaos that these young people create, because every time a young person is having sex outside of actual reality, it creates more chaos. And it's perpetually happening. It's been happening and will continue to happen until I feel that it is a divine spiritual event that I feel that we are on the cusp of. But we'll get into that in future videos. Another aspect that we want to talk about is K2 and Virgo, which brings about a variety of implications that can affect individuals both on a personal and a collective level. K2 represents detachment, spirituality, and karmic patterns. So if you have negative eating habits, this is the time to correct those negative eating habits, or you're going to go into October, November, and it's going to create the karmic patterns, your actions, right? Understanding that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, releasing the persona, releasing the mask, releasing the acceptable person that you pretend to be. I mean, if you are that person, learn to stand in that energy for as long as you can, right? Imagine it to be heat. The more stronger you get with standing in that fire, the easier it is going to be to live. My rule for life is if you don't want to stand on it, do not do it. Because if you do things that you don't stand on, it will affect your spiritual path and will have you looking like a dumbass sooner or later. And finally, detachment. Let go of the past because the past has already happened. You're like an ant. You know, it's not real. It's not nothing that you feeling, nothing that you thinking is real. Your greatest accomplishment will go unnoticed in the next 200 years. Nobody gives a fuck, right? So the best thing that you can do is understand who you are and allow your soul to lead you and guide you. And if you have no relationship with your soul, understand that this is a perfect day for ritual. As we work with the waxing moon, Venus conjunct Lilith conjunct the South Node in Virgo is a perfect time to conduct the ritual. If you have no idea how to have a ritual, I would say that you're wrong. You know exactly how to do a ritual because ain't none of you guys virgins. Sex is a ritual. However much input and energy and effort you put into the sex, the ambiance, the foreplay, the relaxation, the psychedelics, the pills, I don't know what y'all get into, drinking tea, horny goat weed, dong quai, that makes it more spiritual, that makes it more ritualistic, and that's the opportunity. Even deeper with Venus conjunct Lilith, conjunct Virgo, conjunct the South Node, a lot of women don't even need a man to do some magic, right? And that's the tea that y'all should clock. Man, I'm going to end this video because I've got everything that I needed to get off. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop a comment in there. And yeah, man, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all on the flip side.
You are traveling with the Hood Mystic. Time to tap in now. You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.